In the heart of a bustling American city, skyscrapers towered over narrow streets filled with the sound of honking horns, people rushing to work, and the endless hum of life. Tucked between a diner and an old bookstore stood a modest little garage, with a hand-painted sign that read, "Jack's Auto Repair." The man behind it, Jack Turner, wasn't just known for his skill with cars. He was known for something rare in a city that often felt too fast and too cold: kindness. Jack wasn't wealthy. His garage was small, his tools were worn, and his days were long, but he believed in helping people, sometimes even fixing cars for neighbors who couldn't afford to pay. Folks in the community often said, "Jack doesn't just fix engines, he fixes hearts." One hot summer afternoon, while Jack was bent under the hood of a pickup truck, he heard an unusual sound outside his shop. It wasn't the rattling of an old engine or the squeak of rusty brakes. It was the low, smooth hum of a luxury limousine. Jack wiped his hands on a rag and stepped outside. There, right in front of his modest garage, stood a sleek black limousine with tinted windows and polished chrome. It looked completely out of place in his working-class neighborhood. The chauffeur appeared flustered, stepping out and explaining that the car had suddenly broken down. Jack nodded calmly, already pulling his toolbox closer. But then his eyes shifted to the back seat. Through the open door, he noticed a young girl, perhaps 12 or 13, sitting quietly in a wheelchair. Her pale face carried a soft sadness, and her hands clutched the armrests tightly. She looked fragile, yet there was a spark of curiosity in her eyes as she glanced at the humble mechanic's garage. The chauffeur introduced her as Emily, the daughter of Mr. Harrington, one of the city's wealthiest businessmen. Jack felt a pang of sympathy. He had seen her struggle as the wheelchair moved slightly when she tried to adjust. Even without a closer look, Jack could tell that the wheelchair was not functioning properly. It wobbled, the wheels squeaked, and one of the brakes didn't seem to catch. After examining the limousine and promising the chauffeur he could handle the repair, Jack crouched down beside Emily's wheelchair. He smiled warmly. "You know," he said gently, "this chair of yours could use a tune-up too." Emily looked surprised. "You fix wheelchairs too?" she asked in a soft voice. Jack chuckled. "I fix anything that moves, and sometimes things that don't," she smiled faintly. But before her chauffeur could interrupt, Jack added, "Don't worry, I'm not charging you for this. Some things you just do because it's the right thing." And with that, he carefully examined the wheels, tightening bolts, oiling the joints, and adjusting the brakes. Emily watched in awe. Nobody had ever treated her wheelchair with such care, not even the expensive specialists her father hired. For Jack, it wasn't about who she was or how much money her family had. She was just a little girl who deserved dignity, independence, and a chance to move through the world with ease. At that moment, neither Emily nor Jack knew that this simple act of kindness was the beginning of something that would change both of their lives forever. Jack stayed late into the night after the limousine had been towed and Emily was driven home. The shop lights glowed against the dark city street as he bent over the wheelchair, his hands moving with the same precision and care he used on the most delicate engines. But this wasn't just another repair. Something in Emily's eyes, so full of longing, yet dimmed by years of struggle, had stayed with him. He tightened the wheels, replaced the squeaky bearings, and realigned the brakes so they worked perfectly. But Jack's heart told him to do more. He had seen her try to adjust herself earlier, struggling just to sit upright. So, from spare metal parts and a few innovative ideas, Jack designed a custom support system, a lightweight frame that could gently lift her to a standing position with guidance. It wasn't a miracle cure, but it was a bridge between her wheelchair and the dream of walking again. By morning, Jack had finished. He ran his hands over the polished metal and smiled. "This one's for you, kiddo," he whispered. Later that afternoon, the limousine returned, this time with Mr. Harrington himself stepping out. The man was tall, dressed in a crisp suit, and carried the air of someone used to power and control. But beneath his stern expression, Jack could see the worried father. Emily followed in her chair, her face lighting up when she saw Jack. "Got something special for you," Jack said, kneeling beside her. He explained the modifications and gently helped Emily position herself, with Jack's steady hands guiding. Her and the new system providing support, Emily pushed against the armrests. Slowly, shakily, she rose to her feet. For the first time in years, she was standing tall. Her eyes widened in disbelief, and then tears streamed down her cheeks. I'm standing," she whispered, her voice breaking. Mr. Harrington's mouth fell open. The powerful billionaire, a man who had likely seen every luxury the world had to offer, stood frozen, his eyes glistening. Money had bought doctors, specialists, and treatments, but it had never bought his daughter the simple gift this humble mechanic had just given. Her hope. Emily turned to Jack, her voice trembling. "Thank you. You don't know what this means to me." Jack's throat tightened, but he managed a smile. "You've got a lot of strength in you, Emily. This is just a start. The rest, that's all you." Her father finally stepped forward, placing a hand on Jack's shoulder. "You've done more for my daughter than all the experts I've hired. I don't know how to repay you." Jack shook his head. "You don't owe me anything. Sometimes people just need someone to believe in them." In that small garage, surrounded by oil stains and toolboxes, something extraordinary had happened. A girl rediscovered her hope. A father saw kindness in its purest form, and a mechanic proved that true wealth isn't measured in money, but in the lives we touch. From that day forward, Emily's visits to Jack's garage became frequent, not for repairs, but for encouragement, laughter, and friendship. What began as an act of compassion had blossomed into a bond that melted every heart around them, a reminder that sometimes miracles don't come from riches, but from the hands of those willing to give without expecting anything in return.